Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my best friend and co-host D-Lo, and we are Too Complex. We back with y'all in another episode today, but first what I want y'all to do is go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you miss none of these bangers that we drop every single week. Man,
we
D-Lo,
back.
we back, bro. D-Lo, we back, bro. Man, what's been going on with my boy, man, in the last week, man?
Man, a lot has been going on.
Yeah.
You know.
Talk to me.
Tomorrow is the baby boy's birthday.
Yeah, I already know. I got it in your notification, man, on my calendar, bro.
I've been a successful parent for 7+ years, but with him it's for 2+ years. So successful parent in that regard. And then, the last week went to Beyonce concert. I think I mentioned this the last time we were talking. I went to the Beyonce concert with the wife. And
you mentioned at one point you didn't really want to go to that, but I think you had a pretty good time, though. You feel me?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I didn't want to go because while I do appreciate the talent that is Beyonce, it's just Beyonce. And I would have appreciated if she would have brought out Cole. I mean, they do have a song together, so I would appreciate it if she would have brought J. Cole out. Jay, I mean, I can understand not bringing Jay, but she's in Charlotte. J. Cole is just been named minor partner or owner of the Charlotte Hornets. So, to show the city a little bit of appreciation, I would have appreciated that. But, I mean, I like Beyonce's music, but just to go see her, at the last minute, I was like, what, I kind of don't want to go. But it's for my wife.
It's not for the type of men that we are.
Let's talk about community. Let's talk about that community. There's a clear distinction. It was a clear distinction of who was who at that concert.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I saw some things. I mean, and I don't, you do what you do. That's your business. You do what you want to do. But I saw some stuff. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. All right. But social media is a beast, man, because they definitely tried to play Charlotte when it came to not knowing the words. But Beyonce did us dirty, man. She had us, I wasn't singing the song. She had us singing the song for like 3-4 minutes. So at the part where they were saying, oh, Charlotte don't know the words of Beyonce, people was tired. They don't have the breath control that Beyonce does singing, man. So it was just like, it was crazy.
She played Charlotte like that.
She had him singing for 2-3 minutes, and then I guess because sound travels back differently than the speed of light, so it's a little bit slower. So I guess she was trying to get us all back on beat, and she started patting on the mic, but it was a bit off. So then I know it threw a certain people off, and then some people were tired of singing, and I mean it was just crazy. It was a good experience, though. She's definitely one of the best entertainers of our generation, if not the best entertainer of our generation. You can tell that she's getting a little bit older, but she still put on a good show. And the reason I say you can tell she's getting a little bit older, because she, as my wife pointed out, she didn't dance as much or move around the stage as she usually did, or she did back in the past. But it's a beautiful woman, man. Yeah.
And I definitely a beautiful woman.
Somebody of interest to you had a good time too. So
yeah, she definitely expressed that she had a really good time at the concert, man. Because she came back and she said that she wished I could have been there with her. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, I caught her.
Yeah, because we already just said that "Love on Top" is one of our favorite songs together. Type shit. You feel me?
What?
She said, "Listen." Then she said, I told her you was gonna say that. I was like, yo, he gonna be like, every time we say something about each other, he be like, dang, already? How long has it been? How long? It don't matter how long it's been, it don't even matter. But listen. But that's the song you caught her recorded. So that's why he was like, when she sent me the video, she was like, the line sitting there looking at my face. Oh, I know what you doing. I know what you doing.
Yeah, I was all in there. Stop calling me DeLon too. But anyway, so
headphones and that,
Dang.
Headphones done went out on me, but we good. We still here. We still here,
Yeah, we
YouTube.
still here.
I ain't going nowhere. We still here.
Yeah, but I mean, so speaking about Beyonce and getting right into some of the topics.
No, for sure.
IG, we saw on IG where a guy claimed to have spent $40K on Beyonce tickets.
$40,000.
$40,000. And so, again, my wife is a part of the Beehive, so she knows all this information. She's always looking at Beyonce. I'm swear to God, I've heard look around, everybody's on mute maybe 1,000,000 times since the concert because she's trying to see what other places have done as far as being quiet when she says look around, everybody on mute and who's won. But anyway, so she knows all this information. She says there's no way that this man spent $40K on any type of Beyonce tickets. What's your thoughts on that?
Man, so listen, bro. First of all, from what I heard, so he spends the $40K, which would be a little bit over 40,000 on 2 tickets, which is $20,000 a ticket for him and a girl that he was just trying to impress. It ain't nothing like from what I hear, it was like not really even his girl. Like they had been together for like a little less than a year, so it could have been his girl. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm the type of nigga that if we together for a year, you mine now, nigga. Shit, almost a year, you mine. You know what I'm saying? But
well, sure, we know quicker than that. But go ahead.
For sure. So $40,000, which was said to be his inheritance from his passing grandfather. So you spend your whole $40,000 inheritance on 2 Beyonce tickets on a shorty that you're trying to impress. Now, listen, man. Do what you do. Relationships these days and how people, show appreciation to people is a little bit different from how we was growing up. You know what I'm saying? It's totally different now. But ain't no way. And baby, I hope you hear this. Ain't no way I'm spending $40K on nothing like this just because I'm trying to get your attention. Nah, that ain't happening. And for the reports as well, it says that he has a minimum wage job, lives in his mom's basement, don't even have a car. Like, if you spending $40K on these tickets, you got your priorities all fucked up. Like, I don't even think my lady would let me spend that much on some tickets. Especially knowing the situation that I'm in. If I'm staying at my mama's house, I got a low income job, I ain't got no car. That $40K could have been a whip, bruh. Like a nice one at that. Paid cash. You ain't got to worry about no payments. You know what I'm saying? Now you can get around and do your thing, and or you could fucking get a crib. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like something to where you better in your situation. But you spend it on Beyonce tickets, like, nah. Cause what you think, D-Lo?
I'm gonna call cap, bro. I'm gonna call cap. I'm gonna call cap because knowing what we spent on tickets and where we were, and I know Charlotte is a smaller market compared to some of the Los Angeles, New York.
Even Atlanta, where this report came from.
Atlanta, Chicago, those type of markets. Knowing Charlotte's a smaller market, I still don't see any tickets. You could be front row of Beyonce, and I think even those are like first come first serve. So you could be in that area, and I don't think they were $20K. So I'm gonna call cap on that. Unless he was going to multiple shows, unless he was taking her to multiple shows, unless they were flying to different places, then I can understand maybe him spending $20K, but $40K is a lot of money.
Right.
To be spending on tickets. And I know it's Beyonce. I know she's a generational talent, one of the best performers of our time. And tickets were expensive, but I did not see any tickets anywhere near $20K. I'm also with you though. Even, for my wife, I can't see me spending $20K on each ticket for us to go see Beyonce perform, even though she loves her to death. I don't think she would even let me spend my inheritance that I got from one of my relatives that recently passed away. She would want me to put that in a better place to make better use of it than to go to Beyonce. We
For
would
the
figure
fam,
out,
for sure.
you know what I'm saying? We would figure out how to get to the Beyonce concert another way, not spending our inheritance. If anything, we would spend a small portion of it, but not spend the whole $40K of what I got. Nah, she wasn't letting that fly. But I'm going to call cap on that. I think this is, you can't believe everything that's on social media. And I feel like this is one of those things where somebody's fabricating a story to get attention. Attention's a hell of a drug.
A hell of a drug.
And now it's out, and everybody's like, "Damn, who spent $40K on it?" Because all the facts. One, the dude heard in a barbershop that somebody spent $40K on tickets. It's not like a direct source or anything like that. So I'm calling cap on that. But I was rude, man. We got right into it. And
nah, you good. We good. We good. We can roll.
How was your week, bro? Nah, we ain't
can,
doing that.
We can roll through, fam. Listen,
we
man.
ain't doing that. How was your week?
We ain't doing that.
How's your
All
time?
right, no doubt. So listen, man.
Away.
Listen, man. So over the last week, man, things have been looking up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm about 95% sure that although I've been exhaustedly interviewing with this I'm about 95% sure that next week I'm gonna be I'm gonna be in my next portion of my career. So I'm gonna go ahead and give myself a round of applause for that. You feel me? But it's been, bro. This, you know what? I'm not even gonna say that because just know it's been a process with this one company. I do have a couple of other things going on too, but yeah, the next process of the career is unfolding as we speak. Of course, I got Sam with me to have her with me for the past 2 weeks. She started volleyball next week, which is the reason why she stayed with me for the past 2 weeks. So she about to have practice and workouts and stuff like that. So she about to be in the process of that because school starts on the 17th, I think, September 17th. So the next 3 weeks. That's what I think, man. They start on a Thursday, cuz hold on. 14.
That's crazy.
14. They start on a Thursday, dog. Like, it's weird. Just true down there in because Ashley told me that they started on a Thursday too.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the day that they start. I'm talking about why they started so late. September 17th.
Well,
they started. The person we just mentioned, their kids started school
a week
and a half ago. Yeah, a week ago.
Yeah, last Thursday. But here they get out.
Start school next week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Next week.
They get out later. Here, so she won't get out of school. Her last day of school won't be until June, which is how it used to be for us. Because I know we got out of school like June 6th, June 7th back in the day.
Yeah,
when we
June
was in
10th
school.
is usually the time we get out of school.
Yeah, exactly. So they get out of school like around that same time. But yeah, volleyball about to start up for her. She's excited. She's excited about that because that girl loves volleyball, man. Like she loves volleyball. I've been having her with a personal trainer here recently, since she's been out for summer. So she's been getting a lot more skill. Everything's going on with her with that. But it's been a good summer, man. It's been a good run. Everything's looking up, and we're gonna be straight, bro. Everything is gonna be straight.
All right.
But so back into the Beyonce, you know what I'm saying?
Back into the Beyonce, okay.
Back into the Beyonce. So Pete, man. So I'm kind of with you on the cap. Because I'm looking at it right now on my computer, right on my screen, and it shows a receipt for $41,519.13. And of course, they got a car number. It could be fabricated. I mean, it's from Vivid Seats, but it could be fabricated. But it's like, and this is for Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, Georgia, Friday, August 11th, yada yada yada. But, bruh, you gotta hold this L, dog. If you really did that, you gotta hold this L, cuz.
But on the flip side of that, though, I also saw on social media where a woman was upset that Beyonce opened up 2 more dates in Atlanta because she originally paid $1,000 or something like that for her seats, and they were decent seats. And then those same seats for the next 2 shows were only $200 because there were extra shows for people to come. So, I mean, I don't necessarily know if it's true that $20K per seat because he went with her too. So it wasn't just the girl going by herself. It was a combined $20K per person. So it was a 40. You said 41,000 is what he spent.
41,519 and some change, something like that.
41,000. I can see if it was 4,100.
Right.
5,000.
That's what I was saying.
I was like, okay, yeah, he probably did really spend that bread.
But what kind of seats? Like, this got to come with some kind of perks, like backstage passes. You backstage with Beyonce while she recording. You get to meet all the dancers.
Beyonce ain't doing that,
but she ain't doing. She's not doing none of that. And so it's. I would say it's capped, but like you said, it's got to be. Is this 41K? Number one, it could have been spent. Even if you are going to the Beyonce concerts, this 41K could have been spent differently. You could have spent you could have got some good tickets and some good seats to the show, but you could have got a nice rental. If you want to show her a good time, you could have got a nice rental, could have got a nice hotel room. You could have did a lot of different things with this 41,000 that you spent. But if this is only 2 tickets, nah, it can't be. It's because you don't see the tickets that he actually bought. You just see the cost. So it had to be multiple shows. Like he had to be spending, like it had to be in Atlanta and then Charlotte and then Florida and then wherever else the fuck they were trying to go. And then they going. It had to be that if this is true. But I gotta call Cap too, bro. I gotta call Cap. And if this is true that you spent 41,000, hold that L, cuz. 100%. Hold that L, cuz, because you bugging out.
I'm gonna leave it at this. You said that if you trying to impress her, then he could have bought the rental and all that. Impressing her, the way these Beehive members are impressing her is getting to the concert. I don't care
for sure,
because it's a process to get those tickets. It's a whole process and mayhem to get to them. So impressing her is getting her to the concert and having good seats. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Ain't no anything outside of that. You going well above and beyond trying to impress her.
I mean, ain't nothing necessarily wrong with going above and beyond, but at the same time, like
I said, above and beyond.
Yeah. Again, ain't nothing wrong with that, but you $40,000 above and beyond is crazy. That's crazy.
And
40,000 40,000 is astronomically above and beyond. Ain't no way I'm spending 40K. Nah, not on no Beyonce tickets, cuz yeah, and my lady ain't let me do that shit no way, so I ain't got nothing to worry about. But either way, I think we both calling Cap on this story. G
Cap,
big Cap.
All right, moving on to updating about the Lizzo situation. So our last show, we talked about Lizzo and the situation she's going through with the allegations of her being a mean girl, of her essentially turning her back on what's the term I should use here, Sticks?
Turn her back on her body positivity community.
Body positivity community, yes. Turning her back on that and actually body shaming her dancers for gaining weight. So now we have some updates on what has been going on with Lizzo since the time we've been away. So she's no longer in contention for the Super Bowl halftime show, which I really don't think she was in heavy contention for that. The Made in America festival, in which she was one of the headliners, has been canceled. I don't think that it was a direct reflection of her and the situation she was going through, but when it rains, it pours. And also now her current backup dancers are coming out in support of her, saying that she opened doors for them and for herself, people like herself, and then people with the same type of body type. But they did not directly respond to the allegations of what has been said about Lizzo. So Sticks, what's your thoughts on everything that's been going on with Lizzo since the last time we talked about it?
So with this whole Lizzo situation, man, like we said last week, it's gonna be all he say, she say until some kind of ruling has been made. You know what I'm saying? And I figured that some of her employees that had a good time or didn't feel like they were under any harassment or any workplace environment situations, that they would come out in support of her, because from what we know about Lizzo, she seems like a very rambunctious and excitable young lady. And she like she could be a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not, I don't have any qualms about her the people her body positivity community. Everybody is everybody. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing, however you want to live your life, live your life. So I figured some of her backup dancers that love their experience was going to come out and support her, but that's with any company, to be perfectly honest. When you think about the number of people who are still hired and are trying to keep their positions and are trying to are with the company that they love, they're going to show support. And it's a higher percentage of those people than it is the people who feel like they're being harassed or they're in a toxic work environment. So the people who you're gonna it's just like whenever you put a review in for a company, you're going to see a lot more the red flags, the bad comments are going to stick out like a sore thumb, other than the good ones, because you're not looking for the good ones. You're going to look for whenever you're looking up a review for a restaurant you want to go to, you're going to try to see what was bad, what was wrong with it. You're looking for the 1 stars or the 2 stars. You're not looking at all the 4s and the 5s because you expect that, right? So the people who are speaking out and saying that it was a harmful work environment and the sexual harassment and stuff like that, those are going to make headlines because the people already expect the good of Lizzo, because she's an entertainer and she's a pretty good entertainer, and she stands up for said the big girls and stuff like that. So that's cool, but she's actually speaking out now too. Lizzo is, of course, she's been under fire for the past couple of weeks, and she's accepting everything. She's, seeing the people who were coming out and saying that all the bad things about her were reprimanded even before they were fired, and they were talking about how they were unprofessional and their behavior was very unprofessional anyway before they were even fired or let go. So this is coming out of malice, so to speak, for what she thinks. So I mean, and for some of her current and former dancers that came out in support of her, they were saying they had the time of their lives, and they, she opened, like D-Lo said, she opened up doors for them that they never thought they could have, and they appreciate Lizzo, and they didn't have a bad experience. They loved Lizzo. So I mean, a lot of this is gonna be he say she say until everything comes out. Beyonce actually showed support, but it came after she took her name off of the song. But Beyonce showed support in a couple of her concerts, saying that she loved Lizzo and she wished the best for her too. But it's one of those things where I feel like it's just like I said last week. I feel like nothing is going to come of this until there's some kind of case that goes on, because he say she say things are, all of this talk and these rumors and these allegations are your word against hers. So until you show proof and you can actually show this in court, then nothing's gonna come of it. So that's just how I feel. What you think? How you feel about it, D-Lo?
The more I look into it, and I do want to say that it's not just Lizzo that is on the suit. It's also her, the lead or the manager. It's the lead choreographer or whatever, the lead dance manager of the dance girl. She's also involved in the suit. But the more that I look into it, and the more now that Lizzo is kind of injecting herself into it and speaking out a little bit more, I can see it. I can see it happening. I can see it actually being true.
So?
I'm not saying that it's true, but I could see it being true, especially with the second in charge or second in command being involved in the suit as well. Because we all know that the second one in command is usually the one that either causes the most trouble or and abuses their power, or they are the one that has the power and gives the person above them, quote unquote, the power to be who they need to be so they can be the bad guy. With the fact that the second in command is now involved in all of this or has been involved in this, I could see it happening. And then, you mentioned that the 3 that are coming out against her, they were reprimanded and fired before all of this came out. You can look at that 2 different ways, but the more I look into it and the more I see about this Lizzo situation, I could definitely see it happening. Now, it definitely is he say, she say. So, whoever has the most evidence, whoever can prove the most, if it does go to court, I think they'll probably end up settling out of court. Maybe, but if it does go to court, you can see whoever has the most evidence, who can prove it, will be the one that come out on top. But the more I look at it, the more I'm like, because I mean, I've heard and read that while her demeanor and her characteristics to us come off as lighthearted and good natured and fun person to be around, she can be a mean girl, and I'm talking about Lizzo. But that's just what I hear. I don't know that to be fact, so I can't say that is fact, but that's what I've heard. And now hearing all of these allegations and seeing who's involved, what's been said, it could potentially be true, but we'll see what happens when it all comes out.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep all y'all updated, man. But Lizzo is she's definitely a character in her own right. But she's just speaking on the and I'm gonna just give a quick direct quote. She said these sensationalized stories are coming from former employees who have already publicly admitted that they were told their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. She also said these last few days have been gut-wrenchingly difficult and overwhelmingly disappointing. My work ethic, morals, and respectfulness have been questioned. My character has been criticized. Usually I choose not to respond to false allegations, but these are unbelievable as they sound and as they sound and too outrageous to not be addressed. So
that sounds like a good publicist to me.
It sound like Chat GPT. I'm just playing. She came out and she spoke. So I feel like she's going to continue to defend herself moving forward, which she should. She definitely should, because if this is not her character, which I can agree with D-Lo. She does seem like she could be a little bit of a mean girl here or there, but I mean, in the entertainment industry, and you being a backup dancer, and you trying to, which we said last week, which is kind of the lowest of the low when it comes to the entertainment business. You got to get in where you fit in. You know what I'm saying? And not that I agree with her if the allegations are true, with the things that she did with the bananas and the body shaming and stuff like that. I don't agree with none of that. But it's a tough industry to survive in. Bleep bleep. It's a tough industry to survive in. got tongue tied a little bit, but it's a tough industry to survive in, man. Because the entertainment industry itself is tough. So it's tough for Lizzo, just like it's gonna be tough for them. So hopefully none of this stuff is true. And I mean, if it is, then I'm not surprised, to be perfectly honest. But I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what did he say she say lies.
Yeah,
for sure. But moving on from one entertainment news to the next, Lil Tay, who I've been calling Lil TJ for the past, because I didn't know who she was, but Lil Tay had reportedly died, apparently, on Instagram. Like it was a post on her page that said that she had passed away. For those of y'all who don't know who Lil Tay is, I had to do some research myself because I had no idea. But she's a social media star and now rapper. Blew up on TikTok. 14 years old now, started blowing up when she was 9. So over the past 5 years, she's blown up crazy. It was reported that she had passed away, that had all of her fans and the fans of her music and her TikToks going crazy in a rave, wishing their condolences to the family. And it was her and her brother apparently had passed away. But I didn't know who she was. I'm gonna let D-Lo talk about it. But D-Lo, how do you feel about this story about her passing, bro?
So I really didn't know who she was either. I mean, I knew who she was, but I didn't. I knew she was a social media influencer. I knew that she tried to turn over to rap, but unlike what you said, I don't think she had many rap fans. She wasn't like that. She blew up on Instagram and TikTok for being very vulgar at 9 years old and claiming that she has so much money. more than people twice her age that she could buy Bugattis, Lamborghinis, and stuff like that, and saying that we don't know anything about that because we don't have that type of money and all that. So that's how she blew up, because she was vulgar at 9 years old, and seemingly her parents were behind all of this, allowing her to do this and allow her to get all that attention. But anyway, so yeah, it came out. Attention is a hell of a drug, bro. So it came out. Last week that on her Instagram that she had passed away, her and her half brother. Later on that day, she confirmed that she was still alive and that her account was hacked. It sparked a lot of skepticism on if this was genuine or not, or if she was using this as a publicity stunt. Because while she did blow up a couple years back, as you mentioned, you don't even know who she is. Her light has dimmed quite a bit in the social media landscape of things. So therefore, like we just said, attention's a hell of a drug. Everybody's like, this is a publicity stunt to get her back on the map. But Meta did come out and confirm that they were working with her to regain access to her account, which allowed her to make the statement that she was she was hacked and that she is actually alive. I'm gonna go out and say that she was hacked because, and that's being sarcastic, I'm hoping that this is the actual truth, that she was hacked, because attention is a hell of a drug. Money is a hell of a drug. And it seems like we're in a place in time where people will do anything to get both of those, attention and money. And so going so far as to fake your death to get attention back on you, maybe even to, gain your social media influence that you once had, to work with companies, it's very shameful and disgraceful and disingenuous. It's also you're also saying that the consumers that consume your content and that support the companies that would, work with you are stupid. And I that's not the case. No consumer. While we do, indulge ourselves in some nonsense when it comes to the content that we consume, we're not stupid. So for you to, if this is true, for you to fake a death, and then if companies do work with you, one, they're stupid as well. But then to think that the consumers are going to support you in the same way that they did before, not happening. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say her account was hacked. But could this be a publicity stunt? I could 100% see it being a publicity stunt to get her back into the public limelight. Because like I said, her parents were involved with everything before, and they may be missing some of the money that they have, if they don't have money, as she said that they did when she first blew up on social media.
Nah, for sure. Because I mean, it's saying on this report that I'm looking at, that her total net worth as of right now is $500K. So to be 14 years old to have a net worth of $500K is crazy. But like you said, her light has dimmed, and her light was dark to me. Like, I didn't even know who she was, so I didn't even have a light in the state that is Lil Tay. But if her light was dimming over the past few years and she wasn't as social media famous as she had been, then I can see, just like any other publicity stunt. Like, in the past, there've been plenty of publicity stunts to get people put on the map. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And shoot, one person that's famous for a publicity stunt, and she's still a billionaire now. We talking about. So if you know what I'm saying. So I mean, if this is, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, that's the first thing I thought whenever you suggested this topic earlier in the week, was there's got to be a publicity stunt. It's got to be. As in doing my research, and I was like, dang, did she really pass away? And then she came out later on in the day like, nah, I'm alive. Oh, okay, then.
Okay, wait a minute
now. Yeah. And that's the first thing that came to mind was, okay, this is a publicity stunt, because I didn't know who she was from the beginning. And then now I'm hearing about her, and then all these, millions of followers are passing their condolences, and now they're putting their conspiracy theories together. I'm like, okay, yeah. Your light was dimming, and you had to do something to bring the light back. But just like D-Lo said, I'm gonna give a benefit of the doubt and say it was hacked, and hopefully she gets back access to her social media and things of that nature, because so that is her job. That's what brings her income is social media. So as long as she has that, she's gonna make money, and as long as she's still being viral. And just to kind of touch on a little bit about the vulgarness, like attention is such a drug. Like, how could you? I don't know. Maybe it's people that parent differently. And there's no handbook to parenting, so I can't tell people how to raise their children. But I can't see my little one back there. She ain't so little no more, of course. But I can't see me letting Sam at 9 years old go viral on TikTok or Instagram for being a punk, like, for lack of a better phrase, like just stunting on people and saying how much money they got and yada yada yada. Like, first of all, I don't want that information about my family out there, because that just brings unwanted attention. First off, secondly, you're 9, so why are you out? I was listening to a song whenever I was doing some additional research last night about this little girl, and I listened to a song. I found myself listening to a song, and although it was not good, to say, for lack of a better phrase, but it was a lot of stuff that she was saying in there that you would think she like grown as hell. I'm just like, okay, well, this is who she is. So again, benefit of the doubt given by Too Complex, but attention is a hell of a drug.
A hell of a drug attention is. I mean, I think we'll continue to, people will continue to watch this to see what else comes out. But as of right now, it's a lot of skepticism about the truthfulness of her account being hacked. Mm-hmm. So we'll continue to monitor it and see what goes on from there. But we do give a lot of benefit of the doubts rather than really going in on people.
We do.
But I think that's just the nature of who we are.
For sure.
Because you know me, I can see both sides. I can say, oh, okay, I can see that side. Oh, I can see that side. But anyway,
when you're talking about complex situations, man, you got to give an unbiased opinion. So whenever situations are too complex, you got to make sure that you kind of give an unbiased opinion on some of these things. So, man, benefit of the doubt given by Too Complex, man.
Yeah. All right, so Netflix has once again proven that they are the industry leader when it comes to online streaming. As they implemented the crackdown on sharing passwords, they saw that their subscribers began to skyrocket as well as their profits in the last quarter. Now, other streaming services are beginning to look into passing anti-password sharing policies with their services, and Disney being one of them. Sticks, how are you feeling about this move of all of these streaming services beginning to, start these anti-password sharing policies that they have?
I think it's smart, man. I think it's smart. Now, of course, the community is going to be in an outrage because, people try to shave costs in their budgets however they can. And, for $17.99 subscription, if you can save $18, then you can save $18. That's cool. But from a business standpoint, it's smart as hell. And like you said, Netflix cracked down on it. They saw their subscribers go up. They saw the streaming go up. They saw a lot of revenue come from that since they started cracking down on these passwords, because unless this person's living under your roof, then they need to have their own subscription, or you can pay an additional $8 to keep them watching if you want to. Otherwise, you need to tell them to get their own subscription. That's smart as hell, because we talked about this a couple of months ago on one of our episodes when we talked about technology, is that people are going away from the traditional cable, and they're moving more towards streaming services. When we were talking about BET being sold, and people are going more towards these streaming services, man, and nobody's watching traditional cable anymore. So if these companies are losing out on money if they have 100 million subscribers, and those 100 million people are sharing their password with 2 or 3 other people, that could be 300 million subscriptions that they could have where they're not making money from. So that resulted in them either raising costs of the subscription, or putting ads in it to where they can make money off of the ads. So it's smart for them to be a streaming service and doing these things, kind of a la YouTube. Unless you have YouTube Premium, you gonna watch these ads, player. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's smart for them to actually come out with something like this, just like Netflix did, because I know people who are probably using mine. I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no idea. They probably got my password using my Disney Plus, and I don't even know. And I rarely use it unless me and Sam watching a movie, or I'm watching something Marvel that might have just came out. That's the only reason why I got Disney Plus, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't even really watch Hulu that often. And ESPN I'll watch whenever the seasons start, because that's the package that I got. But I think it's genius. What you think, D-Lo?
I think it's going to make a lot of people mad, but good dope sells itself. Not that I'm a user or a seller of drugs, but I do know good dope sells itself. And we all know that you're going to want some entertainment in the house, and you know you're going to want the kids to be entertained so they're not bothering you all the time. So
Disney got that blue magic.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like Netflix, which is why people are like, all right, let me go ahead and get this Netflix. But I mean, you know, I've said this multiple times on this podcast. Steve Jobs once said that the consumer doesn't know what they want until we give it to them. And we all know that Netflix and now Disney, with their whole catalog of content that they have great entertainment for us. You know, Disney has all of the old Disney content, whether that's the animation and now the live event they have, or live movies. They have original series that they have on the platform now. Marvel is included with that. Star Wars is included. It's a lot of great content that comes with Disney. Indeed. It's a lot of great content that comes with Netflix. So, you know, people will be upset that they can no longer share their password, or that those that were having the password given to them, they now have to purchase their own Netflix subscription and Disney subscription, or no longer have access to it. So yeah, it's great for business. It's great for Disney. It's great for Netflix. It's an L for the consumer though, because, you know, again, the consumer doesn't know what they want until we give it to them. But if we don't want them to implement these policies, then don't buy the subscription. And they're going to say, okay, maybe we need to rethink doing this, because not only will you lose the potential of getting those new subscriptions, inevitably some of the other subscriptions that you have, or some of the subscriptions that you currently have, will fall off as well. And so if we don't buy that, then they'll either say, okay, you can go back to sharing your content, or they'll continue to do the same, but their profits won't grow. And so they'll try to find a new innovative way to either bring in new content that will bring in new subscribers, or they'll raise the price, or they'll try to keep the consumer happy. So while good dope does sell itself, the users also have to know they control the supply and the demand of the side of things. So
Okay.
It's a W for the company, because it's showing that they understand how to bring in the money and profit from their services. It's an L for the consumer, because we're just allowing companies to dictate what we get to do with services for money that we're given. What we get to do with the money that we're spending with the services that they're offering us.
Well, I think I'm on the other side of that with you, D-Lo, because I feel like, so say for instance, right? I'm password sharing Funimation with one of my gaming homies and shit, because we both started watching anime kind of at the same time. I kind of watch a little bit of anime, as you can see with the Demon Slayer in the back here. That's one of my favorite animes, and I'm sharing a Funimation password with him, right? And I'm watching a couple of really, really good animes. So now if Funimation came out with the same thing that Disney said, I'd be like, damn, now I can't watch Jujutsu Kaisen no more. I need to go ahead and get this myself, because I want to continue to watch Jujutsu Kaisen. So if it's the same thing with Disney Plus, if somebody's sitting there watching, the whole, if they've just getting into Marvel and they want to watch the whole Marvel universe from start to finish in order, and in storyline order, as you can do on Disney Plus, because that's what I did a couple of times, honestly. So I'd be getting bored just watching stuff. And if they were doing that and all of a sudden they come up on the screen, oh, this isn't your profile, so you need to create your own profile. I'm like, damn, I want to continue watching Marvel now. And it was really, really good. I'm up to Winter Soldier now. Dang, I want to finish watching the storyline all the way up to Endgame. Well, let me go ahead and get this. I think all that to say, I feel like by them implementing them, if they got 100 million subscribers, even if some of them did knock off by saying, okay, well, if I can't share it, I ain't gonna buy it anyway. If some of them did knock off, they're going to have, because they know that, like you said, is the purest form of dope. If they got good content, then some people are going to say, you know what? Nah, you can go ahead and you can end it if you want to, but I'm gonna go ahead and buy it because I want to continue watching this show. I feel like some people do fall off, people are going to resubscribe, and I think it's going to be better for the business because, to be honest, some businesses are F the consumer. Some of them are, because we have good content. We have the purest form of dope that you can buy on the market right now. So if you want to indulge in this dope, then you need to pay for this dope. And the only thing that would,
figuratively speaking, just so everybody know,
facts. Creatively speaking, and figuratively speaking, we're not saying that they out here, street pharmacists out here in these streets. No, we're not saying that. But the only thing that could damage the business if somebody came in and tried to steal their idea, but imitation is the highest form of flattery. So you can go ahead and do your thing, but we're going to still have the same good content regardless. So I don't think it's going to hurt the business as much as you think.
That's not what I was saying. I agree with you. It is good for the business. It's a W for Netflix, for Disney, because, as you just mentioned, if let's use you and I, for instance, if you have the Disney password and you share it with me, and the only way I can get access to Disney is by using your password, but now they implement this password policy that you can no longer share with me. And now when I'm watching whatever I'm watching on Disney, whether it be Marvel or, the live action Disney films, and a notification pops on the screen and says, we noticed that you aren't in the IP address. You don't have the same IP address as the owner of this account. You will need to create your own. Okay, I'm heavy into the game now with all of these different movies that I'm watching. Okay, I'm gonna purchase it, but that's a W for the company, but for the consumer, it's not. And the reason I give
for sure.
The reason I say it's a L for the consumer is because it's one stipulation that they are saying F the consumer, and that's with so even if you have a kid that's in college that's using your Netflix, you have to purchase an extra subscription in order for them to be able to continue to use it because they're not under the same roof as you. And so that's where it's like, because now it's a loophole. You can, if you want somebody to share your password, you can just say, oh, well, this is my kid in college. Well, they're nixing that and saying it doesn't matter. They're not under the same roof. You have to purchase this extra subscription. So that makes it an L for the consumer.
For the consumer, it does. It does. And I mean, and at the same time, I mean, most good parents with a student in college, they just go say, you know what, just put it on my credit card. That's fine. It's $17. Just put it on my credit card. You can have your own profile. It is cool. I just pay for it. But I just like we've been saying, man, if it's the good entertainment and the good product that you want, you're gonna pay for that product. So I guess I'm a little bit harsher on the consumer because as a consumer myself, I look to kind of taper my budget myself. You know what I'm saying? And I want to make sure that I'm paying for everything that I want to pay for. And if I can find a way around that, like I'm doing with Funimation, then I'm going to do it. But the moment Funimation come back and say, nah, dog, you can't do this no more because this ain't your profile, then I'm going to say, you know what? You got me. Funimation, you got me. So I'm going to go ahead and put my little credit card number in there and I'm going to keep watching my animes. But yeah, I think overall I think it's a W, but I do see what D-Lo's saying by saying, it's an L for the consumer because now you're going to have to pay for it. And if you know what I'm saying, now these college students that's using their mama account, they can't use their mama account no more because, they're not on the same IP. So this password sharing, while some people are doing it in good faith, some people are not. So the people who are not doing it in good faith going to have to cough up that $12.99 or that $15.99 to go ahead and get that account if you still want to watch that program. So there you go.
And I'm glad you said that because that's not who I'm concerned about. The ones that aren't doing it in good faith, not concerned with them. Everything that we consume in this house as far as content comes out of our pockets. But for those that are doing it in good faith, definitely took an L with this one. That's all I'm saying.
Nah, for sure. I agree with you on that. Moving on to the next topic at hand, man. So we all seen what happened on August 5th, right? Down in Montgomery, Alabama.
It's a national holiday.
That's what they're trying to make it. But of course, everybody's seen it was a huge social media frenzy over the big brawl that went on in Montgomery, Alabama, on which was being called the Riverfront Brawl now, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going on. It went on August 5th. WrestleMania 40 is crazy, but it's caused a national debate across the world, whether it was a racist thing, or if it was a man, or if it was a man that was taking his job too seriously, or whatever it was. Now, people done created memes and they doing workouts with folding chairs now, and it's becoming a massive thing. D-Lo, talk to me about this brawl that happened on August 5th. That's now a national holiday, brother.
Yeah, like I said, WrestleMania 40 broke out on the riverfront in Montgomery, Alabama. So what happened was you had a river boat. It was called the Harriet II, and then you had a private boat. Well, the river boat, the Harriet II was private pontoon. The riverfront, the Harriet II was supposed to dock, or coming back to dock in the location that the private boat was. And I guess that's their spot to dock at. And so in order to dock there, they had to ask the private boat to get to move. And, some people don't like to be told what to do. And a brawl ensued. And yes, it was WrestleMania 40. People were coming out of the woodwork, swimming to shore,
across the river
to get it in. The Avengers popped up out of nowhere. It's just
Black
everything.
Panther showed up.
Everybody showed up. But how I feel about this is, you have to run and you find out. So, to me, I have no doubt in my mind that certain individuals feel like they own everything there is to own, and that you can't tell them what to do and how to do it. And they took offense to it, and they made the gestures that they made. They made the comments that they made, and they did the things that they thought they needed to do in order to have things their way. Well, turns out they messed around and found the right person to deal with, because he sent up the bat signals. Everybody,
I promise you, he did.
And
I promise you.
And on it was. You get into the conversation of, was it justified for some of the individuals that were involved in it to get the type of action that they got? And then you get the conversations of, well, all of it, every last one of them deserved it. I thought it was well deserved. If you want to jump into it because of who you're with to try to help them, then by all means, you deserve everything that's coming for you. So them chairs that was being swung, the person, the guy that jumped off of the riverboat into the water, swam to the dock, and just suplexing everybody, they deserved all of that. Them people that had it happen to them. What you think about it?
Hey man, so to be perfectly honest with you, I think it was justified of what happened to
the people petty, that owned the petty.
Who? Are talking about the people that had the private boat?
No. We are petty. The black
we definitely petty. We are petty as hell. Yeah, we petty. 100. Big petty.
My fault.
No. We are definitely petty Pendergrass around this motherfucker. But anyway, but we are definitely that. But I think it was justified mainly because even before the co-captain of the boat, who was a gentleman that was initially jumped on, even before that, it's reported that they called out for the owner of the private pontoon boat for 45 minutes before this gentleman even took it upon himself to move the boat. Now, this was a private docking station of the Harriet II. So this boat was unlawfully parked in this docking station. So they gave them the benefit of the doubt and called out for them for 3/4 of an hour to say, hey, you need to come move this boat. A very, very long time. 45 minutes is a long time to try to find somebody. So this gentleman and the assistant of the boat proceeded to move the boat. So this, and the Harriet II is a big pontoon boat. It's a big boat. I'm sitting here looking at a picture of it right now. It's a big boat.
The Harriet II?
It's a river, yeah.
The pontoon.
Yeah, the Harriet II. It's a big boat. It's a river boat. And they took it upon themselves to say, you know what? They don't want to come answer. Then our boat needs to dock. So we're going to move this boat out the way. And we're gonna tell the people after we move it. Well, the folks came, apparently they heard something. They ended up hearing, after 45 minutes of not hearing their name being called, they ended up noticing or hearing that their boat was being moved, quote unquote, unlawfully. And they came down to try to, take matters into their own hands and jumped on the wrong black man today. So everybody, at that point, everybody got it. Now, like I said, it was justified, and people are asking, was it a hate crime against the co-captain of the boat? Was it a hate crime? A lot of things were being spewed, a lot of words were being said by people who don't need to be saying them. So, was it a hate crime? I don't see it as a hate crime, because hate crime is a little bit different. A hate crime is, well, you know what? I'm gonna keep my same stance. I don't think it was a hate crime. I think it was a misunderstanding by one culture to another in a city that has been talked about as being a prejudice state, to keep it 100, which Alabama has been known to be sort of a prejudice state, so to speak. And it just kind of blew up because I think the people in that state that were in the same place at the same this riverfront, were like tired of the bullshit, basically. So those folk got jumped on. Now, the mayor, who was the first black mayor of Montgomery, came out and said that he had two different perspectives, because as a mayor, he wants to make sure that justice is served, but as a black man, he got a different kind of perspective too. And I can respect that mayor for saying that, because it's definitely been divided since August 5th about this whole situation, because whenever I tell you our people came and showed out, they came and showed out, and them folk messed around and found out. But 13 people have been charged in this situation, and we're gonna see how this story kind of folds out and how they get charged. But it's all misdemeanor charges, like minor assault, petty assaults, and stuff like that. But hopefully we'll see what happens.
You've seen where it's been, I know it's definitely been some division, but you've seen where it's been mass division over this, though? I have not, honestly. I've seen a couple of individuals, or I've seen on social media where there's a few individuals that are against what happened. But most of it, and maybe that's just the algorithm that I'm in right now, most of them are in favor of what happened to the owners of the pontoon boat. Yeah. So, and across all cultures. So, I know that it's not just Alabama, it's the South. You listen to everybody.
The South.
You go down South, man. That's just, that's the tension is there. But I have not seen a lot of individuals, again, it could be just the algorithm that I'm in right now, that are against what happened and why it happened on that day, August 5th, which is a national holiday. The chair is the symbol. And
the chair
Aquaman, Jermichael Phelps, Swimmy Hendrix, C. Murder, 21 Salmon, Shaquille O'Gill is the superhero of the day.
Our people are so petty, bro. But now I don't see a mass division as to whether or not it should have happened and if it was justified. That's not what I'm saying, because everybody, like you said, across all cultures, is saying that they got what they deserve. But I think the division is whether or not it was a hate crime or not. That's what the division is at. That's what the division is at. And I don't believe I can say I don't believe it was a hate crime. I think it was a privilege kind of thing. This is what you said whenever I passed it to you after the intro of the segment. You said some people have privilege that they think that they can take advantage of. And this was a privilege type
in
of
better
thing.
terms than I did, but yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. Some people have privilege that they think they can take advantage of, and I think this was a privilege thing that went to the edge, and they did just like Jamie Foxx in the stand. He said, "There's the edge. There's the fucking edge right there." And they jumped over that motherfucker. And they effed around and they found out. So that's but the division is whether or not it was a hate crime, but it was a justified 100% justified. 100%. Yeah.
Well, I agree. I don't think it was a hate crime, but I could see how you would say, or I could see how you would justify it being a hate crime. But I don't think it was a hate crime. I just think it was a misunderstanding.
Nah.
No, wait a minute.
Hell, nah.
Let's
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
It's just a misunderstanding, but ain't that where a lot of hate crimes? That's the justification of a lot of hate crimes is a misunderstanding. You got different skin complexion than I do. The history of what my people did to your people is, and so on and so forth. I don't know. I'm still gonna stand on the ground that it's not a hate crime, but
me too.
I can see how some individuals would justify it being a hate crime.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say it's some privilege that people think they can take advantage of sometimes, and it's kind of the only.
Where would the hate crime be though? I hate I'm cutting you off, but questions.
No, you're good.
I guess which way does the hate crime is saying, because the people that got beat up was the majority. And not in the videos.
Not in the videos. They were the minority in them videos.
But in the grand scheme,
but initially, it was saying like that they were saying, passing around the N-word and cussing the dude out and whatever. You see what I'm saying? So that's where the Avengers assembled, because they were saying them words and they were jumping the man. So everybody else was like, you know what? I don't like this. We about to goddamn go crazy, and they went crazy. So that's what a hate crime thing comes from, is because a lot of slurs were being passed around. And to these two gentlemen that were just basically doing their job. After like I said, they were calling for them for almost an hour to get them to come move this boat. To come move this boat. And at some point, if you're not listening to us, and we need to, and our boat has this private docking station for a reason, then we got to get this boat out the way. So, I saw Crocs not being put in sport mode. They got ripped up. I done seen chairs over heads, and people getting pushed in the river and getting stomped out. Because if it's one thing our people gonna do, is gonna stand for our people. And that's exactly what happened on the new national holiday that is August the 5th. So
folding chairs, folding people. That's crazy.
This nigga stupid.
That's crazy.
Because they people was getting folded. I'm telling you. But I'm gonna get me a necklace that got a folding chair charm on it. You know what I'm saying, for my birthday, and I'm gonna wear it on August 5th. Petty look. Because it's gonna be a national holiday moving forward. I promise you, it's gonna be something going crazy. But
cookouts,
big time cookouts.
All right, so The Blind Side came out in 2009. It was 2023. And Michael Orr is filing a petition against the Tua family, and alleging that the movie that depicted his life, again, The Blind Side, the central story is not true at all. The family never actually adopted him. Michael Orr claims that the Tua family tricked him into signing paperwork that granted them conservatorship, which allowed them to make business deals in his namesake and profit off of him, along with their biological children, but he never saw a dime. Six, what was your reaction when you first saw this?
Now, one of my reactions was, I loved the movie when it came out. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sandra Bullock did a damn good job of depicting, the mother, and Leanne Tui was the star of that movie. I mean, although Michael Orr was the story that was going on about, Leanne was the star, because Sandra Bullock did a hell of a job playing that part. But I loved the movie. I mean, I've watched the movie a few times. Now, looking back, of course, hindsight is always 2020. So looking back, you can kind of, tell that the movie, when I first watched it, bro, I was, saying 24 years old, and I saw it in the movie theater, and I was like, oh, this is an amazing movie. You know what I'm saying? Just looking at it. But after watching it a couple of times, the more you watch it and the more you look into it, you kind of see a couple of things. And now that this story is coming out 14 years later, you can kind of look back and say, you know what, it did seem kind of fabricated. It did make it seem like, they did a lot more for this young man, and they told a lot more of the Tui family story than they told about the actual story of Michael Orr. And if you let Michael Orr tell it, which I'm pretty sure he knows a lot more about his own life than the Tui's did, it wasn't as bad as they made it seem. He wasn't as dumb as they made him seem. He didn't need that kind of guidance from Leanne on the field to show him how to block somebody, or he wasn't as dumb as they made him seem. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the story was very much fabricated to make the Tui family seem better than they were, and they definitely 100% profited off of his own story. And and I didn't know up until recently, whenever, because he reported this back in February, saying that they never adopted me. Whenever I signed that, whenever they tricked me into signing that conservatorship, I was 18 years old. I was a grown man. I could make my own decisions for myself. You know what I'm saying? And they tricked him into going to their alma mater. They took a lot of the shine whenever he got drafted in the first round. They were on court, on the stage with him, and the mother, father, and the little brother. Like, it was a lot going on that they kind of took advantage. That it seems like, allegedly they took advantage of, which of course they're trying to say it was a shakedown, that this is a shakedown effort by Michael Orr to get $15 million out of them. But if he was treating them in the sign of the conservatorship, and he's never seen any of the residual or any of the profit from the movie or the books or the nonprofit organizations that they took out from the fame that they created from the movie, then he's deserving of the way that they profited off of his story and his name. So if he's never gotten anything up to this 14 years, then he deserves this 15 million, because you're getting this money off of a story that you sold as a book and then a movie. So I feel like he's right for putting the story out the way that he is now. And I wish he would have said something sooner than now, because now it does seem kind of, this is me playing devil's advocate. It does seem kind of slight as to how he's going about it now, over a decade later. But he also said that he was just trying to be quiet about it. They did do a lot for him, so he didn't want to. But it's only so much that a man can take whenever it's damaging your own personal image. So I feel like he's right about doing it. What you think, D-Lo?
I don't know how much it damaged his personal image, but when I first saw this, I was ready to go in on Michael Orr. Like you mentioned, It's been almost 15 years since the movie came out, and 20 plus years since you signed that 19 years since you signed that paperwork to grant them conservatorship. So I was ready to go in, but what I after reading the story, what I found out was that he was tricked. And sometimes when you sign stuff at a young age, we all were young and dumb and naive. We felt like, in his case, he felt like he was being brought into the family. He was going to officially be a member of the family. Like you said, they did so much for him in his time in high school and all that. So he felt like he was going to be official of the family, official member of the family. So the reason I digressed and the reason I didn't go in on him, or am not going to go in on him, is because when in reading this story, he truly was tricked. And it first was reported, or he first, said something about it in February. And so when you're tricked, sometimes you don't want to let people know that you were that gullible. And sometimes you don't want to let people know that you had been had. And so it's hard to come out especially a man, it's hard to come out as a man and say, dang, these people got me. And now I need to fight to get my name back because they profited off of me. They now have foundations. They write books. The Blind Side came out. They made they made money from that. They continue to get royalties from that. Their children have profited from it, but I haven't gotten a dime off of them using my name. So it's hard to admit that. And now that he's retired and now that he can actually, give his energy to it, he's coming out and saying, hey, listen, this isn't true. Like, I thought I was being adopted by these individuals, but I really wasn't. They took ownership of me so they can make decisions in my name or for me and take money for using my name. A great example of this is Britney Spears. Ironically, we were talking about her before we got on the call. Britney Spears just got out of a conservatorship 2 years ago. She's 41 years old. Her father has had conservatorship over her since she was 16, I believe, and has been controlling what she can and cannot do with her money, what she can and cannot do online, which is why Plies is watching her videos of her dancing half naked because she hasn't been able to do that up until she got the conservatorship terminated. So now she's doing what she wants to. I mean, she's been a little bit.
She's been a little weird here recently. Yeah.
She's been a little out there before 2021, but definitely the conservatorship is something that is. I don't know how you allow that to happen. I don't know how. I shouldn't say I don't know how the government allows it to happen, but if somebody's able-bodied,
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Sane in the mind. Nobody should be able to sign over their rights to say, okay, these people are responsible for making business decisions for me while I'm able to make decisions for myself. That should not allow to be happen. Now, if you have some disability or something like that, then I can understand that. But being able-minded and able-bodied nobody should have the ability to do that unless you just can't do it on your own whatsoever. But it's a way to do it. If it's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
And I don't think
he had plenty of will. He had plenty of will. He was going to make a way because he was destined from the beginning. And a lot of the story, the Michael Orr story was left out of the book and the movie anyway, because it wasn't as if he was impoverished and he was, one of the kids that didn't have much, but he wasn't technically homeless. He was staying with an uncle of his anyway. So so that's a part of the story that was left out, but he didn't have much. He didn't have really a lot of means to live out his dream of playing football. He didn't really know where his next meal was going to come from. He didn't know how he was going to get to school. He didn't know a lot of things. He was, he came from the slums for real. And shout out to the Tuohys for giving him the opportunity, but shame on them for taking advantage of that opportunity, because it's one thing to have the kindness of your heart to do something, but it's another thing to actually use that to your own advantage and profit off of something. And then the thing that you profit off of, you don't give any credit to. So it's like, it's just weird. Like it's very conniving and it's very trifling for them to do that. Now they're trying to make it seem like today, we're helping Michael in a lot of different, because I wonder how this conservatorship thing works, man, because is it one of those things where they can make decisions about like his contract negotiations once he got to the NFL? Is it one of those things where, if he wants to invest, they have to talk to the Tuohys first? If it's, where he wants to save his money, how he wants to, like, because it sounds like the way it sounds is anything he wanted to do with his bread, they had to consult the Tuohys first. And if he went through this his entire NFL career and never said anything and never did anything, bro, that's your fault, to be perfectly honest. Now, that's his fault. But in the sense of the Blind Side and the residuals and some of that income that he could have made while he was still playing off of that movie, then that's on the Tuohys, and they shouldn't have took advantage of that at all. Right? Is that how that works? I'm thinking that's how that works.
And so I think that's what makes this situation and this makes this whole ordeal complex, is because that is how it works. Like I said, Britney Spears' father controlled everything that she was able to do.
Yep.
He controlled her bank accounts, or the money went to him first, and then he gave it to her. He told her what she could and could not do online and all that stuff. But I don't think the Tuohys did that with Michael Orr. I think he was able to hire a manager and I'm not a manager,
financial advisor.
No, an agent. He was able to hire an agent.
There you go. Okay,
and they would be able to, work out the contracts and on their own and for Michael Orr. But the Tuohys never really got involved. The thing that they did was they had the conservatorship of Michael Orr, but they were able to use his name to start business deals. So they were saying, okay, yeah, like with the foundation and stuff like that, or with the Blind Side. Okay, listen, Michael is our child. This is our story. This is what we want to do. How can you help us get there? Businesses fell in love with the story since they had the right to use his name. They were able to, and they profited off of it. But I don't think that they actually got involved with telling him what he could and could not do with his money, where the money should go, stuff like that. But that is what conservatorship is. They make those decisions for you.
And and that makes sense in Britney Spears' situation, where she was 16 as a minor, didn't have that conservatorship. But once she's 18 or maybe 21, then you got to turn that conservatorship off and give her. She's an adult now, but Michael Orr was already quote unquote an adult whenever this conservatorship was signed. So there should have been no reason why he should have been in that conservatorship in the first place. But again, when you're young and you have love for somebody who's been helping you or has perceived to have been helping you for so long, through high school and, to get in college, to get to the place that you are now, they gave you more love than some people ever gave you before. Sometimes you have that kind of trust in some people that they're not going to do you dirty, but you can never put anything past anybody. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes and there is a saying that sometimes your family can be your worst enemy. Keep your enemies close, keep your family close, but your enemies closer. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it'll be your own people who do you wrong. So I mean, you got to make sure you stay to it, though. Yeah, it is a whole lot more to it, but I do agree with Michael Orr coming out and saying this now. It may be too little, too late, but I don't want to think it is. But it may be too. 14 years is a long time. Almost 15 years is a long time for you to finally come out and say, "Man, this is a lie." And now people looking at you sideways like,
I think the initial response of everybody is like, bro, you waited this long. But like I said, if you actually dig into it and read the story, he was tricked. And I don't know exactly when he found out that he was not actually adopted by them and it was just strictly a conservatorship. But, like you said, he mentioned back in February, or he brought it up. It wasn't public yet, but he had brought it up back in February. So
maybe that's when he found out.
Maybe that's when he actually found out and was like, wait a minute, nah, I'm not actually a part of your family. Okay, well then let me say something, because I mean everybody knew Michael Orr was good in college, but everybody knew who he was because of the Blind Side. Like his status was a little bit more elevated because of the Blind Side. And like I said, he was a good prospect, but it made him that much more of a better prospect because he had this story behind him that was, being played out on movie screens across the world. And then at the same time, he was still playing at Ole Miss. The reason why I said it's a little bit more to it, though, is because, and it's the last thing I'll say, but because the reason that, quote unquote, and I don't know this, but this is what's being said, that they had him sign the conservatorship in the first place is because they were boosters of Ole Miss, and they didn't want any.
That would make sense.
And because they were helping him, they didn't want any type of infractions to come against Ole Miss and then also against Michael himself. So it is a complex situation.
It is.
And I'm not letting them off the hook because they could, if that was the case, they could have just simply explained it to him. Like you said, the movie portrayed him as being helpless and dumb and naive, but I don't think he was that dumb where you couldn't explain to him, hey, Michael, this is what's going on. We've been taking care of you. And now that you are at Ole Miss, some things have come out that we want to kind of nip in the bud. So this is what we're doing. Not signing a conservatorship saying, hey, I know we've taken care of you for this amount of time, but now we want to adopt you and make this thing official so that there is no allegations. There is no skepticism about our relationship and why you actually went to Ole Miss.
For sure. And again, if that makes a lot of sense. If you put it that way, the conservatorship makes sense for different infractions and stuff like that. Because there's been a long time about people getting suspended or people losing eligibility because they're getting paid by boosters and stuff like that. And if they are boosters, then that could be a sort of payment without any adoption, right? So that would make sense in there. But if the movie portrayed them signing adoption papers, but for it coming out of them signing conservatorship papers, and Michael didn't know that until February, then I can see why he's bringing that up. But it is a complex situation to where that you can go on both sides. You can see pros and cons of each, but I'm still on the side of Michael. Like, yeah, you need to, especially with the whole residual from the movie and the books and I'm on the side of Michael. Like, bro, get your bread, because you deserve that. They profited off of your name and your story. So if they didn't give you anything from that, you deserve some of that bread. Like, it makes absolutely no sense why you're not getting none. So, hey, man, we'll see what happens from that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I expect that they will. Because they already have come out and said they're going to go ahead and terminate the conservatorship. I think Michael will. He probably won't be happy with that. He'll try to gain access to all of the foundations and the different business deals that they had that included his name, and try to reap some of those profits that they had in the past.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he'll things will look up for him. I think it's going to be kind of like a 50-50 kind of thing where, they both come to an agreement and he may get something from it, but I don't think it's going to be the $15 million that he actually came out and said that he wanted. But I think it'll be, I think they'll come to an agreement where both parties are happy, and Michael will be able to get his story out there eventually, and maybe he might make a blind side too with the true story. Who knows? But we'll see what happens from there. We'll see what happens from that.
A ESPN 30 for 30.
Gotta be one of those. But moving on to the next story, sticking with sports. So there was a kind of a weird suspension that happened in the Orioles, the Baltimore Orioles organization, where an announcer was suspended for talking about the struggles of the Baltimore Orioles team against the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, it wasn't as if this gentleman was working alone in this whole situation. And it wasn't as if this man wasn't just doing his job, to be perfectly honest. And I don't think he said anything wrong, but Kevin Brown, who was an announcer for the Baltimore Orioles, is suspended for pointing out the team has not done well the past 6 years against the Tampa Bay Rays. And from what the team said is that they suspended him because he made the club sound cheap. And that, he actually, it makes no sense, but there was a graphic on the screen when he was doing the announcing saying that they were in this past 16 series, that they were 15-1 in the series, and they haven't done well in Tropicana Field at all for the past 6 years. Like, he was just doing his job, and he was saying that they were up in this series and they were trying to turn the tide on what was happening for the past 6 years. Now, D-Lo, is this the silliest shit you ever heard in your life? Or what, bro?
The worst decision, the silliest decision. And if I was him, I would no longer want to work for the Baltimore Orioles a day in my life. You suspend me for giving the fans an overall perspective of the performance of the Baltimore Orioles. Not only was he pointing out that they struggled in the past, he also was pointing out that the Orioles are starting to turn the corner as a ball club this year. So And like you mentioned, he wasn't the only one that was in on the whole. I say in on like it's a bad thing, but he wasn't the only one that presented this information. Like you said, it was a whole graphic and everything, but he was the only one that was suspended. So for the Baltimore Orioles to try to sweep this under the rug and keep their struggles in the past, which everybody knows the Orioles. I don't watch a lot of baseball, so I don't know per se. But if you look at records, which dictate if you're a good ball club or not, if you look at the records, the Orioles haven't been a good ball club for quite some time. I want to say since Cal Ripken was playing, but that'd be way, way too far.
They haven't won a series since. So
they haven't been a good baseball team for quite some time. So for them to suspend him for this as if he's not supposed to give the whole perspective of the Baltimore Orioles is crazy to me. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think it's like I said, I think it's the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life, dude. Like they literally haven't won a World Series since 1983. And they
what about playoffs?
Well, from what I'm seeing right now, that it says they haven't won. They've been in the playoffs a few times, from what I can remember. Because I back whenever I used to actually watch baseball games, because I'm a Braves fan myself. But back whenever I used to actually watch baseball games, I mean, I would see that they would go to the playoffs because they're in the same National League as the Braves are. But they just haven't had a lot of playoff success and World Series success. Are they not? No, you're right, because they're in American League. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But they of course this they play some interleague games as well. So I would see the Baltimore Orioles play the Braves every once in a while, but they haven't won a series in 40 years. It's literally been 1983 since they won a series. And like you said, Kevin Brown, he was letting people know that hey, they're actually turning the tide. They're becoming a better ball club. The Rays have been in their way, but they're actually doing a good job against them this year. They're turning the tide. They've been doing a really good job. But over the past 6 years, they ain't been doing well. That's not a reason to suspend somebody for literally doing your job. And that's not a reason to. And the fact that your organization was behind him and helping him with this graphic, that should tell you something from there. Like he had a whole graphic on the screen showing that they've been having struggles against this particular team that they just can't get over the hump against. And as of right now, they're trying to do that. So it's like, what else do you want this man to do? He's honestly just doing his job. And he did a really good job of kind of like, cutting the tension online and just saying, hey, this is my second home. For the Orioles fans, I'm a storyteller and I was just telling a story. And, he never wanted to be part of the story. He was just giving a compelling story about how the ball club is coming along and they just need to get over this hump against this one team. And I was telling you the background of the story against this one team. Now, is that a reason for the organization to fire him? Hell no. It just makes no sense how organizations, I guess I want to call it a digital footprint, but it's not that. But it's just like your profile is more important than your employees. But he didn't give any bad information, and it wasn't like he was talking shit. He was just like, we're getting over the hump, and this team beating this team in this series this year will show that they're progressing as a ball club. But it's not anything wrong that he did to me. Period.
They got their feelings hurt, and it wasn't like in his storytelling in the segment that he did about the struggles that they have against the Rays that he said any type of racial slur. He didn't say anything out of character. He didn't cuss online or anything like that. He wasn't wearing anything that said anything negative about any particular group or anything like that. He was just giving the facts of what the Baltimore Orioles have done against the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And if that hurts you as a owner, as the people that sit above him and all the players in the organization, then maybe you shouldn't be in the business of professional sports because you have to tell the truth. I mean, everybody talks about the Los Angeles Clippers or how they used to be. The Clippers used to be the worst team in the league. And the last 5 or so years, maybe more than that, they've been a way better ball club. But in order to tell the story of the Clippers that are now, you have to tell the stories of what they used to be when they were younger or when they were, back in the day. So this is just lunacy to me. I'll be honest with you. I can't fathom that somebody would fire me for, or not even fired, he's suspended. So they suspended him. Somebody would suspend me for doing my job. If a customer comes to me and wants to know the whole perspective of a certain thing, of course, I'm going to paint a picture of this is the greatest product ever, but I'm going to tell you the limitations of it as well. And that's all he was doing.
That's all he was doing, period, man. And just to, make another kind of, just to give you another example of what you just said, same thing with the Cavs, and I know we find a way to get this man in the show every single week. But before LeBron got to the to the Cavs, they were the sorriest team in the league, and he brought them by himself to the playoffs. Left, got crucified for it, came back and won a championship. So like you gotta tell the story of the growth of an organization or the growth of a product or the growth of anything, because before you can actually sell it, you got to say, hey, this is where it came from, this is where it's at now, and this is where we project to be. You got to tell the story. So like that's all.
People love the story.
Man, free Kevin Brown, man. I'm you know what I'm saying? Free Kevin Brown, dog. Like, free my dog, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, free Kevin Brown, because he ain't do nothing wrong, man. Like D-Lo said, it's lunacy, man. It is definitely insanity, because there's no way that you can really just, if y'all saw the video, and I'll put a link to the video in the description below. If y'all go watch this video and y'all can tell me that he did something wrong, then, you know what I'm saying, I'll throw my hands up. But there's nothing that man did wrong. And y'all go watch that video. I'll put it in the description in the description below. Y'all let me know. Y'all give us y'all comments on this situation, man.
Man, we probably should bet on how much time he's gonna serve for this. But
as of right now, He's been suspended since August 11, and there's no timeline as to when he's gonna come back. So as of right now, he's been suspended for the past week. So we'll see.
Well, sports betting really is taking off, isn't it?
It really is, bro.
ESPN has announced is launching ESPN Bet, a new online sports app, as the rebranding partner of PENN National Gaming. This is the first time I'm hearing a PENN, but making it this makes it a significant move for both partners or both parties. Sticks, how you feel about, or how do you see this turning out, this sports betting and ESPN being involved?
It was time will only tell when ESPN would actually get into the sports bet, and now that it's becoming such a national thing, and people are, some states are making it legal, and ESPN is the worldwide leader in sports. So why not ESPN get into the sports bet? And now the one thing that kind of threw me off is that, are they? But I was gonna make this comment. I'm gonna still make the comment anyway. But Disney is such a wholesome kind of company, and ESPN is under Disney. So I was like, is Disney going to allow them to do the sports betting? But, even though they're under Disney, it's still their own kind of entity within Disney. So, and they're going to spend their money how they're going to spend their money. So, and sports betting, especially legal sports betting in the states where it's legal and where you can do it, and how you can do it, not them damn athletes, but which is what we've been talking about for the past couple months now. People getting suspended, but it was only a matter of time that they would get into it. And I feel like it's a good avenue for ESPN to get into, even seeing they have every sport imaginable that you can watch on ESPN. So it's only right that they be in the sports betting. Now, D-Lo didn't talk about this, but they, Penn Entertainment, who was a part owner of Barstool Sports, which was another sports betting avenue as well. They purchased it for $3 billion, and they ended up selling it back to get into ESPN. Is that, and how that worked, D-Lo? I think you told me about that.
They purchased Barstool?
Yeah. They ended up purchasing and then selling it back.
They purchased Barstool for $300 million.
$300 million. Okay.
The owner, I forgot. I should know his name because he was involved in the LSU and what's the girl name? LSU basketball.
Oh, you talking about Angel Reese?
Angel Reese. So he was involved in the Angel Reese ordeal when people were calling her all sorts of names for doing the gesture that she did. Mm-hmm. I forgot his name, but he was able to buy back Barstool for $1. And so shortly after he bought back Barstool, this news came out that they were in bed with ESPN and now starting this gaming app or this sports betting app that they have now. So,
and that's where the billions came from, because they're part of a $2 billion agreement with Disney and ESPN to start this ESPN bet. So I think it's dope. I think it's dope because the way sports betting has been going here for the past year or so, sports betting has created almost $8 billion in revenue over the past year. Which was said to be reported a 63% increase from 2021, according to the American Gaming Association. So it only makes sense for the worldwide leader of sports to get into sports betting. And Penn Entertainment is a platform that has a lot of money, and they've been into sports betting for quite some time now. And the fact that 16 states are now legal to be able to do sports betting, and Penn Entertainment is trying to get in where they fit in, because a lot of people are going to do it on their phone. It's readily accessible on your phone. You can download an app, put your bets in as long as it's legal, and you can make your money. And you can make or you can lose money. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're making the right decisions as far as who you betting on to score these points, or what color the Gatorade is, and all this other things of the Super Bowl. Like it's kind of crazy. I'm telling you, it's kind of crazy the things that you can actually bet on these apps, bro. But it only makes sense. It just makes sense for them to do this. Yeah. And what you think? What you think is going on with ESPN getting into it, bro?
I mean, I just think ESPN is using their namesake to get a big chunk of the pie that is sports betting and sports gambling. I mean, we know it's been legal in Las Vegas for quite some time, but now it is starting to be legal more widespread across the United States. And with ESPN being who they are in the sports entertainment industry, it's only right that they, throw their hat in the ring to be a leader in the sports betting industry as well. So it definitely serves its purpose for ESPN as well as Penn Entertainment in order to be involved with each other when it comes to creating this app, but allowing ESPN to have its namesake on it, because ESPN is a trusted provider of sports and entertainment across the world, not just the United States. So it gives Penn Entertainment access to people that they may not have had access to before, which will bring in more money for both parties. So, I mean, like if sports gambling has been an $8 billion industry for, in the last couple years, you only need to have 2% of the business to make a significant amount of money. So the money is definitely rolling in. I just think it's funny that in the last month, 2 months, we've seen so much about sports gambling from the athletes, from, the regular Joe Schmoes having access to bet and gamble and, bet on sports. It's something else that, they don't want us to focus on.
Kind of temptation.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I've always seen this quote about the circus is what it's called, and I'll read it to you. So I feel like our attention is being drawn away from somewhere else, and the sports and entertainment industry is such a big mainstay and a big driver of business in the United States that now they're like enticing us to push our money there. But the quote is by conspiracy theorist Bill Cooper, who famously has said, "It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive and when people are asking questions? When the people don't like the policies of the emperor, he sends them to the circus. He creates a circus, fills the giant coliseums, and begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has a great chariot race and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world." It's something else that's going on. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I believe it could be something else that's going on that's taking either our dollars away from something that we should be spending the money on or saving for ourselves for a rainy day in the future, or taking our mind away from something else, saying, oh, I can make money on LeBron now by using the app with ESPN. It might be far-fetched, but that's just my thoughts on it.
And that makes sense too, man. Because I mean, I know it's so many things. I mean, you could even sit here and say the Montgomery, Alabama thing was a distraction from something else. You know what I'm saying? And just like Ocean Gate, you know what I'm saying, a distraction from something else. Because we going drama drives a lot of people's lives. And people love a good story, and people love to talk about things that have nothing to do with their own lives in general. So, I mean, social media is a place where they can let all their thoughts out. And, and especially for people who have these kind of issues with gambling, this is just another way for them to give the government their money, because that money that's going into these sports betting apps is being taxed too. So it's just another way for us to, give the government a little bit piece of our bread. But I mean, it does make sense that ESPN, the worldwide leader of sports, is into this sports betting, and it was only a matter of time that they would get into it anyway. So it's a good look for them. But just like D'Lo mentioned, and I kind of mentioned a little bit too, it's just giving the athletes another avenue to make more mistakes in my eyes, because they've already been doing it. There's been so many suspensions over the past couple of months since the year 2023 started. There was so many suspensions, people getting caught for betting on their own teams or betting on other teams and stuff like that. And this just is another avenue for them to do that. And it's it's smart in one end, but it's tempting in another. So I mean, I feel like it's good and bad. I don't particularly gamble myself, but I used to be on like I don't even know the names of the motherfuckers no more. That's how long I've been doing it. But some of these, these daily sports fantasy apps that, you can make a little bit of money here or there, but I was never addicted to it, which is why I don't even remember what apps I was on. So, I mean, who knows, who knows where it goes from here, but the fact that they spent $300 million to buy Barstool, then sold it back for $1, and then put $2 billion into ESPN, they know they can make some bread from it. So we're going to see where it goes from here. It's going to drop in the fall. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to drop in the fall, so we'll see where it goes. For sure.
Yep. All right, Sticks. Episode 35.
35 is in the books, Dooney.
They call me Dooney. Okay, that's a name for me. All right.
I had to channel my inner Method Man on that one. You feel me? Nah, that's up north.
Oh shoot, I ain't never heard that Dooney. Okay, I thought it was Dunny.
You remember anyway. Dunny Dooney? You remember in How High they ran out of that smart weed, and he was like, hit the books, Dooney. You remember that?
Yeah. Man, listen. Okay, you took it back there. The Dooney threw me off. I thought it was Dunny, but it's all good. I'm with you. Yeah. We on the same page now.
We on the same page already.
Yeah. Man, listen though, this is like therapy for me. We missed a week, and I was like, dang man, I can't wait to get back to the podcast with Sticks so we can discuss some of the events that have happened. Some of the I guess we were sports and entertainment. We're kind of blending pop culture in it now, talking about a wide variety of different things. But man, it's like therapy. I feel like diving into the different topics that we talk about, learning about it, and then coming up here to discuss it, how it plays out into the main scheme of society. I enjoy it.
I enjoy it too, man. It's definitely therapeutic, man, especially just being able to sit here. I know we talk throughout the week, sparingly, but just to have this conversation with you for an hour and a half every single Saturday, man, it's always good to talk to my brother, man. So I enjoy it 100%, bro. And I hope it grows to great heights. And we start, hopefully we can make this thing full time. That's up to y'all, though. Y'all folks that's watching right now, because it's about 98% of y'all that ain't subscribed. So I need y'all to go ahead and do that, because please do that. but no, it's definitely a great time, and I appreciate it every single Saturday, bro. We got to keep it consistent.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But yo, thanks for tuning in to Too Complex. Remember, life is short and oftentimes complex. But when it becomes too complex, don't be afraid to lean on those that you love to help you find simplicity and balance. Stay prayed up in this crazy world. A few requests thrown above can return you peace and sanity. Thanks for loving and supporting this podcast. It means a lot to us. We're sending the love right back at you. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you listen to, and follow us on all of the social media platforms. That's YouTube, Instagram, Threads, which is Instagram's Twitter, and then basically TikTok as well. All right. And then, as always, we'll catch y'all next time. We'll see you when you see you. Until next time, salute.